Good evening, everybody. It's Bill with bees all day. So, how's everybody been? I hope everybody's recovered from the knobby crud, as I call it. I'm getting over it. Charlie's getting over it. The wife's got it. So, everybody's got it. Clay says he felt a little bit better and then had a relapse. Hey, Mike. Hey, bees in the abyss. Flower Street. How are you? Tar Heel, you're in here. I saw Keith in here a while ago. I know Clay's in here. There's the man, the myth, the legend, Sawmill Charlie.
Hey,
Um, Dennis is in here. How's everybody night? Jonathan? It's a good start for the night. Not bad. So I saw DC in there too. And there's Mr. Rawls. How are you tonight? So there's Sarah.
so we better, are we?
Yep. I'm glad you liked it, DC. I'm glad you liked it because I've got an uncapping tank for you now. It's kind of like a hive butler, and I've got two of them that are small, that are tabletop models. Hey, Dean.
Hey, Clay, Dean, Kevin.
It's a good thing my wife woke up a while ago because if she hadn't woke up, I'd still be asleep. But I was zonked in the chair.
You
I
had
was
to
out.
take a trip today, didn't you?
Yeah. We went down to North Carolina today. Well, looky here. Tom made it early. Talk about what the cat drug in.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes, I am feeling better. How about you? Because I know there for a while you were in pretty sad shape there, Tom and Melissa.
Tom and Melissa were out for like about 4 days or more.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it was a head cold or whether it was head cold symptoms with that crud that's going around. I know my brother's got something. I haven't talked to him. He was out today. And then we had more snow last night or this morning and icy conditions. So I just took care of the mill today and kept him, the help home. Wasn't no sense in getting him down here getting hurt or anything else.
Yeah. So, Kevin, what firehouse are you in? Where are you a fireman at?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I seen a guy at the mill today. He was at Aberdeen Proving Ground Fire Department, and he said, "I hear you were there," and I said, "Well, I was in a medic unit down there for a while."
Philadelphia. Thank you for being one of the brave ones in Philadelphia. Hey, Mr. Lee, how are you tonight?
Hey, Keith.
Robert House is on here.
There's Judith.
Judith, hey, how are you tonight?
There's Robert.
How's your knee doing, Robert? Okay, where the old Sears building is. Okay, I know where you're at. You stay safe tonight. Hey, Mike. Yes, and we need to wish Charlie happy birthday tonight. Yesterday was his birthday. How old are you, Charlie?
We shouldn't say that.
Huh?
We shouldn't tell that. Actually, I'm 66 years old.
66.
Older than you.
Yeah, you are. About 3 years.
Yeah.
No, he's 29 holding.
Yeah, I wish I felt like that.
Yeah, you and me both. I'd be a lot better off if I was.
Yeah. Hey, Rod. Thanks, Rodney. Thanks, everybody. Now, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of, I got a shout out with Cayman on, um, what's his name show last night? Oh, goodness gracious, with the stream team. What's his name in Alabama?
Bruce?
Bruce's Bees. He was on Bruce's Bees. He gave, right off the bat, he gave me a shout out of happy birthday.
Yeah.
He did, which I thought that was pretty nice.
Yep.
And all that. And they had a long session last night about stuff. And they had a thing on tonight here just before your show with Nora,
Yeah.
one of the guys from the company that runs that for that Chester County beekeepers thing and all that. They say they're coming out with a tote for the commercial guys full of the stuff. I'm like, well, you need to come out with a jug full of it so we can just pour it in our feeders if that's what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Get the price down.
Yeah, really.
So it took in, let's see, snowed a little bit Sunday afternoon, snowed in the morning on Sunday morning, snowed Saturday morning. Now they're calling for 6 again, some kind of a pretty good storm possibility of it. Anyway, right now it's not determined yet. Thursday it's supposed to be 50 degrees here, which I'm like, yay, I'm going to go out there and take off an hour or two and check my bees as far as feed in the pond. It needs anything, I'll add it to them. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I think it is. It's like in the 20s.
Yep. It is.
Severe cold.
It's gonna be real cold. It's gonna be cold here tomorrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cold here tomorrow too. I think it got up maybe 35 today.
Yep. It's supposed to be. Hey, Highland, how are you? It's supposed to be 14 here tonight.
Yeah. Tomorrow it might get in the 20s, something like that, 25 or something. And all that. That's Sonia. And all.
So I'll be putting let's see. Either Wednesday or Thursday I'll put fondant on. Probably maybe even Thursday. It's supposed to be 50.
Yeah, it's Shona. What are you gonna do on what do you say Thursday 50? What you're gonna put on bee bites?
Bee bites and fondant. So,
and the bee bites is not, it's a brood promoter, I guess, wasn't it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not
nutrition. It's nutrition for the queen and the hive itself. And so that'll give her a little bit of a boost, but it won't kick her off laying just yet because there's no pollen in it. Hey, Sandy Valley.
Hey, Matt.
There's protein in it, but not pollen. Protein from other sources.
Maybe I ought to, some of my bigger hives, maybe I ought to do that, or little ones, maybe cut it up in quarters.
Yeah.
Throw some of that on there.
Yep.
And all that, or half, either half or a quarter. And then I've got some global patties waiting in the wings. I figured by the 1st of February, I want to throw all that in there. Throw it to them.
I got a couple of hives that they're at the top. They need some. They're going to need a little bit of food, so I'm going to crack them open and lay it on.
I threw some of Matt's pollen patties on there, and it was so cold. I just didn't have the time to video And so I had some of them, they were down in the seams, you know, right at the top. So I put that right over top of those seams. I had some that had a cluster at least 12 inches across, and it was about an inch worth of bees up above the frames.
Yep.
I put a big gallon baggie with his stuff over top of them, just laid it over top of them,
Yep.
and just kind of did that all down through the line. And then I had some nukes where I have 3 mediums. The top medium was full of food, but they were more or less in that second medium as a ball of bees. So I decided I better put some direct feed fondant right on top of them, literally. And then I put a shim on so it wouldn't crush them. And then I put that box back on there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that will help them get through this, you know, bad cold weather. Because next week they say it's not going to be much good as far as warm weather goes.
Yeah. So I bought 395 wooden bound 8-frame queen excluders today.
Yeah, Matt, I'll give you a buzz tomorrow.
Hey, James. So
you got wooden bound, what is it? Queen excluder?
Queen excluders.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, I see. Steel wooden bound queen excluders. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a new product for you, isn't it?
Yeah, the wooden bound is, yeah.
Or are they coming out of Pennsylvania from that guy, or?
No, my guy in North Carolina had a bunch of them. He used to sell some woodenware, and he's cleaning out his warehouse, making space.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I found 400 of them. And he sent out an email. He said, I found 400 8-frame wooden bound queen excluders. Who wants them? So somebody beat me to the punch, and they only wanted 4, and I bought the rest.
Well, I mean, is there enough 8-frame people in your area? I know Tom and Melissa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is. There's plenty of 8-frame people down here.
Oh, really? That's right. You do sell both.
Yeah, I do. I sell 8, 10, and 8 and 10 in wood and 10 frame enamel. So, and considering going to start to carry a few long langs in the store. Thinking about it.
Long lang hives.
Yep.
And who builds them?
Bearsville Bees out of West Virginia.
Yeah, I seen them down at the show. I think it was. Yep. What are you saying, Robert? Oh,
oink. Yeah, I'm eating popcorn tonight.
Well, you know, it rubs off.
Yep, that's my snack. So you need some queen excluders, Tom? I got plenty. That's probably a 5-year supply of queen excluders for me.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know what it's going to, as far as snow, they haven't really said, you know, they're too far out to figure it, depending on which way the front or whatever it is, depending on whether the southern part of the state gets it or the northern part.
Yeah.
Or the whole state gets it. I know here, my son, he just only lives 20 minutes away. I mean, I'm not that many miles, 10 miles maybe. You know, he got maybe a couple more inches than I did here as far as snow Sunday night. and everything. And actually, Saturday he got 2 or 3 inches more than I did, and all. Hey, Lisa. But yeah, I like wooden bound. I don't know. The only downside of that is a little bit more bird comb with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the wood part because I don't. Well, I'm always concerned that when you're prying the box off the top, you're going to bend one of the bars in there, and the queen will get through.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's what I'm doing on there. Just like I say, I want to make sure these bees have feed on them. Getting through this next, they call it icon weather or whatever it is, big storm thing coming through and all that's, that kind of a thing. Just want to, I don't know. I think I'm changing my feed program and also my concept of what I thought was correct, where I'd still like feeding my bees in September into October with plenty of 2-to-1 sugar water.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks say, well, I don't put as much as you on. I said, well, I used to put it to the point where they would just stop eating it. And that's when I would stop feeding. And which is about 200 gallons. I did 120 gallons this year, but queens were shut down because of Aprigard. And I'm going to rework that next summer. I'm just going to do a 25-gram dose 4 consecutive weeks in a row. And as long as the temperature range is, let's say, between 80 and I'll say no more than 95, where it's 90 degrees. I was concerned at 90 degrees last year. So,
yeah,
not to do it, not to treat, but I think they'll be fine. And I talked to, I guess, what is it? Vena Farm that makes that stuff. And they said they've confirmed what I thought about it. Of course, they're a manufacturer. I'm not sure how much you put a faith into them. But I also have come to the conclusion with using Matt's Fondant or anybody that used Hive Alive, I always kept thinking to myself, well, didn't you feed your bees in the fall? And I'm sure a lot of folks did. And, well, we don't have beetles, Tom.
yeah, I don't have any beetles, so I don't have to worry about it.
But I think that whatever fondant you do use, whether it be Strong Microbials or Hive Alive or Matt's, it puts feed in direct contact with that hive.
Yep.
Or at least you can lay it on top of them bees or lay it on top of where they're in the seams of the frames.
Yep.
And that that is a better insurance policy, I'll say, as far as them not losing contact with feed and getting through these cold spells that we're having.
Yeah.
So they don't, move from side. They can't move from side to side. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you.
I would like to take some of Matt's fondant and use it in conjunction with a bee bite and see how it does.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll try that. That's what I'll be doing. Still have Matt's fondant, some left, and make sure that they haven't eaten what I put on there completely up. Or if they have getting close, I'll put more on Thursday while it's 50 degrees or close to it, which was better temperatures than when I did put it on there. So I want to do that. Maybe I'll go ahead and I got some bee bites that are fresh here. I'll cut them up and try them in conjunction with that and see how all that works.
Yeah.
my theory is that I have a higher insurance policy on those bees where they have that direct feed and they won't lose contact with feed, which I hope to get them through the winter better.
Yep.
And I know I was talking to Matt there when I would watch his videos where he's been feeding throughout the winter, which is more or less his feeding process.
Yep.
And definitely, you know, he's got some beautiful looking clusters of bees. Now you got to remember there's pollen powder in that fondant. There's rocket fuel in the fondant. I think there's Hive Alive juice in there. And I don't know what else he's got in there. And so that, you know, it shows me that his bees he has the cluster of bees that I'm looking for, that I want to see in my hives all the time and all that. And I need to take some time here and maybe this weekend while it's pouring snow down, if we get any, or I'm sure it's going to be too cold. Hey, Jeremy, hope you're feeling better and everything with your hernia and stuff. You know, that's what I'm looking for, is those good, strong colonies.
Yeah. So I'll probably take 3 or 4 colonies and mix it, and then take 3 or 4 colonies and just put the bee bites on it, and then take 3 or 4 colonies and put the bee bites and the strong microbial super fuel patties on them.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian, how are you tonight? And kind of do a little comparison test and see how it turns out.
So you got Matt's fondant, and then you got bee bites,
and then bee bites with a super fuel patty with it,
which is a fondant patty with rocket fuel in it.
Yeah. So I just want to see how they turn out.
Yeah, Ian, I seen your video there. Your bees are looking good.
Yeah, they are.
Good, strong-looking colonies there. Yeah, I don't see how you stand all that. I mean, you got some severe cold weather up there. They're even closing roads down in that place. But, yeah, that's, I don't know. Maybe I'll just, like I say, I was going to do some experimenting where if you put here in the next 2 weeks, here by 1st of April, I want to put some global patties on and then some global and bee bites to see whether or not they like one or the other, or they like them the same. And also see how the bee bites with the different additives like the spirulina and the other product that's in there. I can't remember what it starts with a C. I know Brian talked about it, what it did, along with the other ingredients in it, how it maybe will help boost the brood population and the bees' health, and just in general a good quality strong hive, all that stuff. Hey, Chris. Whatever JW eats. Yeah. Yeah, Brian, that's at Caloria. Okay. I've read about it. I've reread about it. I just can't remember everything it talks about. I know it's about
chlorella is what it is.
It's about gut health and things of that nature.
Yep.
And then it also has the bacillus, whatever in there, the 2 different types of that, which is for possibly helps the bees' immunity.
Yep.
Yeah, that was at that was Saturday night with 25 of us from the from Nabi, Ian, and we went to the Hibachi Grill, where these I guess they were Japanese guys. They cook your food right in front of you and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
It was pretty fun. A lot of people, a lot of everybody had good fun. And all.
Ian, you'll have to come down to Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Conference down in St. Louis.
Yeah, like Tom said, I was kind of the center attraction on my side of the grill from that guy there. And he had some like joke props and stuff, you know, it looked like a ketchup bottle, and actually had like red string with a little topper on the end. He could squeeze it and the air would blow it out. Looked like he was going to squirt ketchup on you. Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to do the same thing. Thursday, it's supposed to be close to 50 degrees. So I know Ryan's got some Matt's stuff. What is it? Now you know what it's like to be a beautiful woman. Not sure what you mean by that, Norman. Being picked on or the center of attraction? But we had good time. It was one of the things with Nabi that I really enjoyed was every evening we all went out to different groups of us went out to eat. Going over to England.
Have a good trip.
And hopefully you won't have to eat a raw fish to get like you did the last time over there. That was pretty gross.
Yeah.
He's talking about the attention I get. Oh, I like the attention. Yeah. And all. Yeah, I did. This year I was in several different people's videos. Bees in the Weeds, Greg Burns.
Yep.
I'm not sure who else I was in there. And all that. But fish kissing. Yeah, something like that. I forget what it was over there in Newfoundland or someplace where they were at. Yeah, that's right. There is Newfoundland.
Yeah, that was Newfoundland.
That was pretty. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could have done that. Nope.
So, Ian, I have a question for you. What month of the year do you typically bring the bees out of the building and put them back in the field?
I think it's late March.
That's what I was thinking too, but
they still have snow. I got to go get a drink.
Yeah. Charlie had a lot of fun up there, down there this year. He had Rob with him. So Rob, what did the doctor say about your knee? Have you been back yet? Yeah, Norman, it's going to get cold. Come on in here, Ian, and talk to us. Yeah. Be an interesting conversation with Ian in here. Yeah, I know better than that, Ian. Not with the blog that you do. You're not too shy. So in March up there, I know my brother lives up near the Great White North. Um, you still have snow on the ground when you bring them out of the building and put them back in the field, right? Hey, Brent, 5% battery. That's a lot for Canada.
Yeah, Ian, I also seen your creamed honey at the Expo's tasting area. They're hanging all. I did get to taste your creamed honey. I actually did a little bit of a video on it, along with the rest of them down through there.
Yeah, Blake can come in here too. Anybody that wants to come in can come in. It's open to everybody.
And then Ian, I don't know whether you knew about it, but at the end of the show there, me and Tom were there, and Tom, asked the lady about getting his honey back, Tom and Melissa. And then I told the lady, I said, could you give me my honey back? You know, I said, I got a plane ticket to Canada. So I went up there and I blow me up there a little bit, if you can.
I'll blow you up. Hang on.
Just pump me up. There we go. I don't know whether you can see that. Let's see. I happened to be able to get what was left of Brad Flowers Faith Apiaries. I got to be able to taste it. All right, now you can put me back down. And so I got the rest of his honey, brought it home with me.
Yeah.
Now who's Blake? Which one? Blake Shook or? Yeah, I snagged back Brad's honey. Yeah. And yours, I don't know what happened to yours because I would have tried to got your bucket of honey.
Oh yeah, I would have snagged some of yours.
But I don't know. They were what they were going to do is dump everybody's honey in a bucket and then make mead out of it. And I said, well, you know, send me back mine. So I got Brad's honey and all that. So,
yeah.
Somebody else from Canada was there. I don't know. There was a bunch of people in front of me. I couldn't get in there to see who all was there. It was quite a bit of a line. Oh, someone bought yours? Okay. Okay. So
there he is.
Hey, somebody was asking about this, and I wanted to show it. They were asking about these.
Yeah, I got one from Baker's Apiary, I think it is.
Was it a plastic one like this?
Or? Yeah, it was a plastic one, or it was printed or something.
Yeah. So did
it didn't look like that one. Mine's a little bit different.
Did he give it to you at the party?
Yeah, he did. I think it was either at the party or at the conference, one of the two.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to feel like an idiot, and I hope he's not offended. I don't remember his name. He came up to me, and it might have been Charlie. It might have been when I was talking with you actually at the party on Wednesday night. I know I was over talking to Bill.
No,
I think I was.
I thought we were together whenever he handed that to us.
No, you weren't with me when I handed this.
Yeah.
But I think this is what so this is actually, well, okay. So this one is actually
Mr. Ed's.
Yeah. He walked over and handed it to me. He gave me one last year too, that was made out of plywood. It's all done with a CNC.
That one's not.
This one's out of a piece of oak. I believe it's red oak. If I'm not mistaken.
It's Ian wants it. He wants you to explain what they're for.
Oh, well,
They're to keep him in line when he gets out of line.
I don't know if you hear my wife mouthing off in the background, Ian, but anyway.
Tom, Ian wants you to explain what they are.
Yeah. So the idea behind them, I don't really use it. I've had people give me a couple of them before in the past. I do appreciate the thoughts, so please don't take it as not appreciative of the little gifts. But so the idea is like when you're actually prying up the back of the box, I guess if you ever have any frames stuck together, whatever, what you can do is you can drive this between your two boxes, and depending on how far apart you get them, it's supposed to kind of hold them while you can pry the frames down or something. So it's a tool or an aid to help hold the boxes on a double deep configuration or between honey boxes, whatever, to kind of hold them apart so you can, I guess, finish making a.
It works good if you had like a, like you say, like a double brood chamber box, and you're like you're saying you're trying to rear that thing up. You got them 3 frames in the middle that are stuck together. You can shove that thing in there, and it's like a wedge until you get over here, and it's actually like a third hand. You can break them frames.
Yeah, basically, in short, it is what that's kind of what it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm not saying it couldn't be a helpful tool. I just don't typically carry it. You know, I mean, I can just work past it. It's just something else that you'd potentially lose out there. The only thing I usually keep out there is a smoker and a hive tool, and I try not to set the hive tool down. It always stays in my hand. So if it's in your hand, you won't lose it, right? So I don't know. That's just kind of the practice that I work with.
Was that Brian at Baker's Bees?
Yeah, Baker's Bees. That's the guy that gave you mine.
That was the shorter gentleman, correct? And please, I'm not trying to be offensive. I remember his face. I just can't. He told me his name. Yeah. I just can't remember because that weekend you have. I'm saying I talked to probably no less than I can't even imagine 200 or 300 people, and that's probably conservative. So yeah, it was at the party when he handed it to me. His story was pretty fun.
That one. I don't know if you can see it. That one right up there. He made it, but that one looks a little bigger.
Is it on the top shelf? Is that what you're showing? I can't really tell.
Yeah. This one's not quite as big as the one you're showing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one I got. I think it is. I don't know. I'm missing a bunch of literature that I'm, sticker or label literature, and that tool was one of them too. I was like, where did it go to? So
I don't hardly ever use that thing because what it's for to hold it up while you divide the burr comb between the two, the bottom, the top of the bottom frame and the bottom of the top frame. I can have it cut time I wrestle that thing up in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that's the same thing I do. If you get between them and it hangs up, it's a frame. I just stick the hive tool down there kind of somewhat blindly and pop a couple down until it pulls up. Well,
hopefully when I got, of course I'm running mediums, but I got 2 medium drone frames on top of each other in each box. And it definitely alleviates a lot of that drone burr comb in there because it gives a place for those queens to lay. And you don't have a sticky problem.
That's going to be one of my purchases with Michael at 21st B. Because we cycle out so many nukes, it's not cost prohibitive for me to buy all those frames, even though they're a good quality and the wax is very superior. It needs to be cost prohibitive for me to do that. So on most of my regular frames, I can't use the 21st B frame, but there are 2 areas that I can utilize them in, which we are, is the comb frames themselves, which again, you'll just keep reusing those, right? And then the second thing is the drone comb frames, because if we run one, ideally one in each box, it would probably be more like 1 per double, but that will help with that a little bit. Joey's done what he calls a story frame, which is a pretty ingenious way to do the exact same thing too. So that's another option for people to utilize.
Actually, that's Brad's idea. I just started doing it.
Okay. I know the only reason I mentioned that is because I know that I've heard you talk about it multiple times, and you showed it on videos too, as a matter of fact. Did anybody go by the Easy Peasy booth while you were down there?
I
I
was
did,
going
but I
to stop
didn't buy
by.
anything.
Yeah, I was going to stop by and talk to Don, and then I said I had so many other things to get, to pick up or get done, and then I kind of forgot about him and never got back there.
So I'm gonna show you something that's a really cool idea that he's been working on this last year. So I got 2 packs of these. I got 30 of these. So basically what it is, it looks like just a regular queen cage, right? There's no entrance. Well, it's hard to tell with the lighting, but there is no entrance. It's hard to see because it's overexposing it. There's no entrance or exit. But when you split this open, if I can get it open, okay, when you open it up, what you can do is, and it's going to be hard to see, you can see the little V shape in there.
Yeah.
When you can cut a cell. So this is half of it. It closes down on itself. You can cut a queen cell out. So if you utilize them, you can put a queen cell in there. And then at the very bottom, you can kind of see that it's showing up. See the bottom looks like it's got 2 little bitty trays right down in here.
Yeah.
The very bottom. So those are areas you can put if you want to put like a drop of water or a drop of honey or some sort of liquid feed, whatever. It's not going to take much. All it is when the queen comes out, obviously she's very starved and typically goes straight for something to eat as she's been chewing her way out of the cells. So you can actually, if you do some cut cells or you have cells in there, you can clamp them in here. And ironically, I bought
if you harvest some royal jelly, you can put royal jelly in there.
Absolutely. So I got from him, I don't know if he actually Fred Dunn did a great video on this. So this one's a little bit bigger than the one I had previous, but this is actually his cell incubator. And they have great information on this, but he's actually all 3D printed. It uses the incubator control module from the incubatorwarehouse.com. He's got a nice little handle on it. So when you actually open it up, it'll kind of hold itself up like so. And he's got a little temperature probe inside here too that sits right about where the queen cells would be sitting at. It's got a little fan across here. And then also he has a little removable tray inside the bottom that also happens to have a little place for a sponge to go in there. So you can put a little wet sponge in here to kind of help control your humidity, because you're probably, depending on where you're at, you're looking for somewhere about a 60-ish or so % humidity. Everybody probably has a little bit different idea about that. But this one will actually hold 60 queen cells. And it comes with
Do those queen cages that you had in your hand fit in that?
Yes, they do. They fit in there beautifully.
Well, that
and
tray,
the regular queen cages.
Perfect.
and I think that also fits the cages that I have, where you put the cells in the top end of them.
Yes, you're right. So you're absolutely right. Those will fit in there too. Like I said, the cool thing is you can actually pull the tray out of that entirely. I don't know, just kind of a little cool idea. Very, very simple, nothing too complicated. If anybody has ever met Dan Long with Easy Peasy, he is a very, very articulate person. Very thorough about everything that he does. This one, actually, the one I had previous to this held less cells. So I wanted something that held a few more cells. And that's the reason why I bought his. He's had it out now for, I want to say, a year, maybe a little bit longer. And he's had good success and feedback with it from some other guys that they test marketed it. But again, real lightweight box. You can actually plug in on this side. You can plug in your AC power adapter. It's basically like what you would use for, say, a laptop or something like that. But you can also
have battery option.
So it does not. He does not offer it. But if you go to his video online, I think that. Let me think about this. He shows where you can go on like Amazon or somewhere, and in the type of port that's on here, you can actually plug this into your automobile, like a cigarette adapter or a power point. You can plug it into there, so you can buy one online. And he also shows of a power source or like a battery pack that you can also plug into here. And what he does is he puts a piece of Velcro down here and Velcros the battery to it, and then you can plug it in. So if you're taking it out walking through the bee yard or something, and you want to keep that temperature controlled a little better, maybe it's a little cooler, or if you just want to throw it on the seat of your truck without plugging it in, you can use the battery option too. So you'll have to check out his video. I think he has a YouTube page. I know he's posted before on Facebook with all the information, but so you have multiple sources there. So you can go 110, or you can buy online and he'll tell you which one you're looking for. The adapter for your power point in your vehicle. I mean, some of the newer vehicles, they all have the 110 port in them anyway, right? So you can just plug it straight in. And then lastly, like I said, he shows a battery pack that works really well. And the one that he suggests, I think he said lasts for about 5 hours. So I don't know, really cool. Like I said, it'll hold more than my last one. And truthfully, if you go look there's a few other ones that are online that make some quality incubators as well that'll hold more than that. Your price point is going to jump up to $450 to as much as $800 for
easily.
an incubator. They get really pricey very, very quickly. And he has this one listed on his website at $250, which is really, really very cost effective in my opinion. I can't justify $800 for my operation, what it is that I do, but for what he's got here, I can justify that cost.
Cool. And then that way if you've got those cages and you either put a little bit of royal jelly, honey, or a little bit of water in there, you don't have to worry about feeding in the first 2 hours because it's right there for them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's another thing too. If anybody's hatching queens out or has ever thought about it, you need to pay very, very close attention when those queens come out of those cells. They are starved for food. They will perish within potentially a couple of hours if you do not get them some food and some water. So you have to really pay close attention to that. If it's gone on like they hatched in the morning and you check them in the afternoon or later in the day, I would say there's a good chance you're going to see they look very lethargic and are not moving well, and that's specifically the reason why. I mean, ask me how I know. That's operator error on my behalf.
Is he going to be at EMBA?
Yep, he certainly will.
Cool. I need to talk to him.
Yeah, and I told him too to bring a little bit of everything and also bring a couple of incubators that people could check out and look at.
Yeah, like I say, I was really sorry I missed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot that was easy to miss. It just in light of everything that was going on, you feel like you've got multiple days to do stuff, and it just at the end of it, when you finally come off of that high from being around everybody all weekend, and you realize what you missed, especially when you see a few videos online of people, showing a couple of places or a couple of vendors or what have you. You realize how much you missed.
Yeah, I tried to make myself go slow through each of the aisleways to kind of take in every person's table. And I don't know. I had certain things I wanted to pick up and get done, and it seemed like it just never worked out.
Yeah. Well, Melissa just said if you would have spent 5 minutes in each booth, that would have, and with nonstop, no other interruptions, and that's impossible.
Yeah.
It would have taken you 11 hours. So basically, one full day would have been consumed with only 5 minutes per booth, which is not a lot of time.
I never made all the booths.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Bobby, over there at Hilco, they had one of them prototype uncapping machines. Well, I spent 5 minutes just watching that thing. As they were.
Where was it at? In John's booth?
Yeah, they had that prototype uncapping machine, and they were running it. And I say you'll spend 5 minutes just on that. Maybe watching it, and actually there was another.
The one with the chains or the knives?
The knives.
Chains or the knives?
The knives. I don't like the chain uncapper. To me, it beats the waxed to death.
Makes much out.
Kind of makes a mess. Not that I was going to buy either one of them. I just, interesting. They had a uncapping tank. They had this rail down the middle with these like fingers like that. I said, what them fingers for? They were supposed you put your frames on edge inside the tank instead of, going down a slide on the ears. But, well, that's good. I'll get to see him at EMBA.
Yeah, we bought some of his stuff the last couple of years, certain cages and things like that. I liked what he was doing.
He had been on my show, as a guest, and I always,
That's right.
I wanted to meet him in person and say hi and all. That was more of the reasoning behind it and all that. And that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so like you say, you never see. It seemed like you think you're going to get it all done out there at Nobby, but you still can't seem to get it done good enough. And then Cayman's is talking about maybe expansion or something like that, where you're going to put more vendors in there. It's like you better add another day to it in order to see everything.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot.
And all that. So
Hey, Bill, so it sounds like your equipment sold very well at Nobby, yes?
Yes, it did. Very well. I
That's
went and
good.
picked up more today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we knew the snow was coming, and we have a show scheduled in South Central Virginia this coming weekend. And we looked at the weather, and they're calling for 3 to 5 inches of snow to be on the ground Saturday morning and throughout the morning Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday afternoon, early evening, it's supposed to pick up, and they're supposed to have 8 to 12 inches overnight. And the college that the show is at, they never clean any of their streets, any of their sidewalks. They let them melt off.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So we put a call in to the person that's in charge of the show, and I have yet to hear back from her other than a text saying, I'm at work, I'll call you tonight. So I'm going to look at the weather tomorrow and see what it's doing, and she may get a call from me, whether she's at work or not, saying we're not coming.
Yeah. Well, you think about it like this too. What's the point of you hauling several $1,000s worth of equipment to an area? If you get 12 inches of snow, that is certainly going to affect the attendance. Even the people who want to go.
Even the 5 inches of snow is going to affect the attendance.
Oh, definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I would say the best thing for them to do is to cancel the show.
the problem is the college won't give them a rain date. Either they have it or they don't.
Yeah, that's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that's the downfall of holding a conference in the middle of winter in areas that might get significant snows, you know? I mean, what do? You're praying and hoping that, you get one of those dry days.
Yep. You're right. But, it's just, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So she can't expect us to, be down there when they're calling for that kind of snow. And I'm not going to risk pulling a trailer down there and have an accident and ruin several $1,000s in equipment. Granted, insurance will cover it, but Still not going to do it.
Well, let's all be honest here, and I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but even if insurance covers it, you're still going to lose.
Yeah, because they're only going to cover a percentage of it.
That's right. And that's
Yep.
going to be the least amount possible.
Yep, exactly. So,
Or they'll find some way to skirt around it and not pay anything.
That's the truth.
yeah, that's right. And like Clay said, in Virginia, it doesn't take much snow for people to lose their mind and forget how to drive.
Well, the
I'm glad
biggest
it's not just Virginia.
Yeah.
Does Virginia know what a snowplow is?
Oh, yeah. They know exactly what a snowplow is. They treat the roads and everything else. But when they do it, they don't. The first roads they clear are the interstates. Then they clear the larger state roads. Secondary roads, forget it. They don't get cleared until everything else, until the state roads and the interstates are clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you have county plows and state
No,
plows?
it's all VDOT and VDOT contractors.
Wow.
Now, see, here in our county or our state, we have state highway administration that take care of the state roads. And then we have county administration that take care of the side roads or the county roads.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, same here. And then even you get into the smaller city municipalities, they have their own stuff to do their own streets as well.
Yeah, they do that here. Incorporated towns, they have their own stuff. But
Yeah. Now the incorporated towns here in Virginia have their own equipment. And when you get, it's funny because the incorporated towns, within hours, the streets are black, right? All the snow's gone. And when you cross that incorporation line where that sign is, so you're leaving town or whatever and then you're going on to a regular state road, there might be an inch of ice on the state road where VDOT hadn't plowed yet.
now, like up in Pennsylvania, they don't know what a snowplow is. They don't know what salt is.
Seriously?
Nope. Yeah.
Nope. They spread cinders up there.
Yeah. Ash.
They do have plows. I got caught up there one weekend at a show, and I got a room, and I was less than an hour from the house. I guess about an hour from the house. So I figured, and I was in 4-wheel drive, and I said, well, I probably get up the next morning. You know, I'm used to, you get up the next morning, the roads are clear. They're just wet. No, I got up the next morning, and in the main, I'll say state highway, I would say, you know, main highway, 4-lane divided highway. It had 4 inches of 4 inches of snow-packed ice. And I went all the way to the house, and as soon as I hit the Maryland line, wet pavement. No problem whatsoever. You know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
But the problem in Pennsylvania is they have these boroughs, which is like a small town, or like here in Maryland, we have counties and then we have the state. And up there, they have the county, then they have the borough, which is sort of like a small area that's governed by the small community or town.
Yeah. It's almost like an incorporated town.
Almost like an corporate. I never could quite understand. There's boroughs and there's villages or something like that. But they might have 1 or 2 snowplows in that little village, and that guy's got to go through all them back roads. You know, it takes forever. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it gets interesting down here when it snows, and Clay can tell you, it gets really interesting because it's night and day difference in people driving.
Yeah. Now, Bill, where you're at, is there a lot of hills and curvy roads? Or?
We're in the valley, so it's rolling hills.
Okay.
There's nothing that's really, really steep,
Okay.
but there's rolling hills.
Rolling hills, and it's pretty much flat ground.
Yeah, we're flatlanders here in the valley.
And it's right next to the Interstate 81, which is pretty much flat. You might have some hills, but nothing
Yeah,
Nothing
nothing
major.
big. Nothing
But-
that's going to cause a tractor trailer to have to gear down to get up it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but you
thought
know
I
what?
remembered when I used to drive from New York, I thought I remember seeing big salt domes in Pennsylvania
Yeah, there are.
where they stored it.
Yeah, they got
That's all
salt
it was
domes. I
stored.
mean, but I don't know. It just it boils down to money. Where
But
if you got a great big governmental thing like a county, they got plenty of money coming in
Yeah.
from the government. When you got these small towns, they don't. Their budget is very small, and it's a different way of the government system up there.
So who's
But-
winning the game, 21st B?
I had a guy tell me today, just right up the road up here, and this is flat ground, and I don't know what happened, but he had a tanker truck. I don't know whether it was a milk truck or whether it was a fuel truck, but you have the flat road and there's a little bit of a bank, fairly steep bank, and he was out in the middle of that hayfield or whatever it was there with that tractor and trailer. I don't know what, he must have skidded off the road or what. Maybe that was probably earlier this morning when it was icy.
I would love to have seen that one. Indiana winning the ball game. Just an update. 10-0.
Yeah, I know they got salt sheds, but
Maryland's got salt sheds too.
yeah, we got the domes and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Bracken, you're right. The mountains on the East Coast, they're foothills compared to what you got out there. I would agree with that.
In Pennsylvania, yeah, they got salt up there, but like you say, depends on where you're at, I guess.
Yeah. And depends on their budget as to how much of it they use. So
Yeah, Pennsylvania. I heard it on one of my apps or something that popped up that Interstate, is it 78 up there? They shut it down here yesterday or day before. And around here, you don't hear nothing like that. It's kind of a rarity.
yeah.
Of course, up in that area, you get in Pennsylvania, they got quite a bit of mountain area.
Yeah, they do.
All that.
Five inches of snow in western New York. Yeah, I was talking to my brother today up in Morrisville, Vermont. They've got a little over a foot on the ground still. And he said it snows 1 to 2 inches a day. So,
Doug says they put on a winter tire. I mean, yeah, back when I was younger, they used to have regular tires and snow tires.
yeah, we used to have snow tires here too. And then they said, "Oh, you don't need snow tires, use radials."
Yeah,
Okay.
do a mud and snow tire.
Yeah. Then they came out with the front wheel drive cars, and of course, that everything went to hell in a handbasket at that point.
Get a 1/4 inch and they'll be shut the schools down. Yeah, that's about like here in
Yeah,
Maryland.
that's about right. Yeah, that's what it is here.
It's
Get a
more
little bit of white stuff fall, and they close schools. So,
yeah, I'd like to have an all-wheel drive, but that'll sort of save you. Yeah, studded tires, used to have that.
yeah, chains.
Chains. I got chains for the truck getting out of
I
bed.
can remember calling. They would be calling for snow, and I worked, fire station I worked in, not volunteered in, but worked in. We would lay tire chains out in front of the tires on the fire truck in case we had a call in the middle of the night, because we went to bed, there was nothing on the ground. So we'd lay duals out and have to hook them up before we could leave the station. And then, of course, the volunteer stations, tones would go off in the middle of the night for work detail to put chains on the trucks. That was always an adventure. You never knew who you were going to get to help you do it.
Well, we had them on the AMBO up here, and they were wires, but we always just put them on there.
Yeah, we would where I worked, we would lay them out in front of the tires, and then we got a call, if there was anything on the road, we would hook them up before leaving. If not, we wouldn't. We'd just drive over them.
Yeah.
And then they came out with what did they call them in the beginning, Charlie? Instant chains.
What
You hit a button on the dashboard, and they come and they fold down and roll.
Yeah, you roll underneath them.
Yeah.
That's what they got now.
Yeah.
Joey, you get any kind of stuff down there in the deep south where you're kind of warm, ain't you?
Yeah. We don't deal with any of that.
You're lucky, very lucky. You can come on up here for a while if you want. You can deal with it up here, and I'll go take your place.
Huh.
Yeah, the only problem is he gets that god awful humidity down there.
We might get 4 or 5 inches of rain, not much snow, not too
Yeah.
hot. Once every 10 years.
Yep. I hope we get a good snow. If we're going to get snow, I'd like to get a good one.
Yeah, because it's the same mess, no matter if it's 2 inches or
2 feet.
Well, yeah, it is 2 inches. I just let it sit out there. 2 feet, I got to get out in the tractor and push.
No, we get out and bucket it.
Well, that's what I'm
Spot
saying.
chains. That's what it was. On spots is what they were called.
I had to winterize everything last night. Night before, it got 29 degrees for 1 hour. And then this morning, it got like 26 degrees for about 5 hours. So I had to winterize my little honey shed. And then get up this morning, drink coffee, and come back out and turn all the water back on.
Yeah.
Are you working your bees at all, Joey?
Not yet. If we have another day like today, I might try to put some of Matt's Fondant on some of them. If
Hey, Mike.
the ones that need it. And they were flying fairly decent today. It didn't get real warm, but it was real sunny. So they didn't care if it was 40 something degrees or not. They were flying a little bit.
Yeah, that's. I'm looking at a weather map right now. Tom, looks like you're going to get some snow too. Where you are.
Yeah, so there's a lot of uncertainty right now because, and I've been watching it, and there's some guys that put out some nonsense out there, and there's some guys that are conservative about their forecast, just like you have everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so the one thing I've heard a forecaster say before, a reputable one, says it's extremely difficult to actually forecast weather, particularly snow.
Yeah.
When in the Midwest, in the very far north, it might be easier because cold air might be always in place. He said more than 3 days out, and it really needs to be fine tuned for us in St. Louis. When it basically passes over the Rocky Mountains and gets to where like Brian Zavada's at in Colorado, at that point in time, they have a really good idea of what the storm's going to do and what's going to be in place. So I would imagine that right now you're seeing a lot of hype out there, and that there are some places I think that are going to get hit pretty hard based upon the different things that I've read, but keep in mind that some of these guys are selling new. So, I always say be prepared, but don't completely stop your life because of a forecast. If I did business based on a forecast, I'd be home half the spring long, not doing anything.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can understand that, but I was watching the local weather here tonight, and they said it depends on how far that Arctic air high comes down.
Yeah.
As to where the low that's coming up out of the south and up the East Coast, how far up it's going to come.
Yeah. There's a guy that I've been watching says right now, he goes, it gives the appearance that low is going to push far enough south, like for us particular, that it's going to hold most of the moisture out of my area. And they're saying that could see some light accumulations. But again, pay close attention, because my guess is especially for like Bill, you guys, Charlie, we can probably count on by the time it hits on Wednesday, we're going to have a really good idea of what we're going to expect at that point in time, because it'll actually have made landfall by then.
Yep.
Yeah, they're talking, I think, Saturday, Sunday. Friday night into Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, we're just probably
Friday night through Sunday morning is what they're saying.
Okay.
Yep. And then that depends on how fast the front moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
definitely.
the low is moving pretty quick and it beats the high in here, because it's already cold, we're going to get dumped on.
Yeah, they're thinking for our area, again, this is going to be a moving target, I'm sure, but saying that the cold air might come in place too quickly and basically push that low south and then keep it going south of us. So, but it does sound like there's areas that, Arkansas, you get into some of the Carolinas, Tennessee, places like that, could see some more significant snow. But again, we'll see once it actually makes landfall.
Yeah, right now, they've got two scenarios. One, if the high gets in here first, we're going to get maybe 2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
If the low gets here first, they're saying 6 to 8 inches in the valley.
See, and that's kind of what I understand with our area. They're saying if the low gets in, or if the high pressure comes down and pushes that low pressure down, what they're thinking could be the case for us. He said it's likely we might only seen a couple of inches out of it. Yeah. So like for us right now, the forecast says on Friday, less than 1 inch of snow possible. And they're saying Saturday, there's only like a 40% chance of 1 to 2 inches of snow possible. So,
yeah. So
but I think the bigger weather or story would be the cold weather that we're all going to experience. It's going to get cold for all of us.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. It's going to be real cold. So let's see what the preset map says. And the preset map is they've got 2 scenarios on it as well. So it could be 2 inches. It could be 6 to 8. So
we'll see when it gets here, right?
Yeah, we'll know when it starts falling what's going to happen. Right?
Yeah. I actually do need to get another load of salt in this week, actually. So
you better be ordering it.
It shouldn't be a problem for me to get it in. I have a buddy that owns a trucking company, and he luckily he actually just this last year, he used to bring a semi around the back of the building where I keep all my stuff at in my salt bin, and it was really hard for him to turn around. It doesn't have a sleeper cab on it. It's just it's like a day cab. And then I don't know what it is. I don't think it's quite a 53-foot trailer, because it was a dump trailer, basically a big semi setup. And he used to dump, and he could only haul by weight, could only get about 25 to 27 tons in there and haul legally. But now he has a dump truck with a tandem axle dump truck with 2 drop axles. So he can actually haul the full 25 tons that I need to get and be able to spin around much easier. So, and he hauls grain in and out of St. Louis all the time, so he can get us a load out pretty quick.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It would seem as if we're going to need something because the cold weather is going to be in place for us. It's going to be bitter cold.
What do you haul it with when you're using it?
The salt?
Yeah, you have a dump trailer or something?
No, they haul it straight to our bin and we load it with a skid steer and the back of this salt boxes. So we have two
Okay.
trucks that are set up with snowplow setups, and both of them have the big V boxes. So we just machine load everything and then take it to where we're going.
Joey's never seen a salt box. They don't get snow down there. You don't know what you're talking about.
Melissa said, "You've never seen a salt box. You don't know what that is."
I
bet you might have,
I figured it was like an oversized fertilized box.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes up the whole back of the beds, of course.
Yeah. Better known as the salt shaker.
Right.
Hey, have you ever used the those? I don't know what it's called, but it spreads sand to level when you're finishing and leveling a yard, like a new house.
Did you just-
I saw one on, I guess it was Facebook. Somebody had, and they was running it over the yard, and they just kind of like spread that sand out and leveled any dips and holes and everything where the grass was already growing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Here, let me show you what I'm thinking that you're talking about, if I can find it.
You must have sand down there. We don't have no sand up here. We got dirt.
I don't know where they were at.
Well, they'll do that on like probably more your southern lawns, spreading sand over it. They'll aerate it, pull the plugs out, and put sand on like they would do on a golf course. Let's see.
Yeah.
What was it called, Tom?
Talking about a foxhound rake or something. Rockhound.
A rockhound rake. Why would you use that?
You wouldn't be using to level it. You'd be leveling the dirt to get rid of the what do you call it? The rocks when you're grading.
Yeah.
So
There's that's a small version right there. That's a walk behind. The one I seen was almost like a little skid steer.
So the answer is yes. So I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't have it anymore. You can spread sand with it, but you can also spread compost with it. So that's what we used it for, is for spreading compost. Basically it's called a top dresser. So you would top dress a lawn or something like that with, you could do a sand mix, or you could utilize it for, again, what we did, which was top dressing using the compost mix.
why would you use sand? Because that's not a growing material.
No, but you loosen it. It's like
Good
soil
level.
compaction and drainage and stuff.
It's a good leveler if you got like stump holes. I use it around here a lot.
Mhm.
For 20 something years after I cleared this property I'm on, especially in the last 20 years, I guess old stumps that were in the ground rotted, and you get those sinkholes, and I just fill them up with sand,
Yeah, we fill them up with dirt.
level it out. Sand's cheaper.
We usually try to find somebody that's got some dirt where they dug out someplace. They're looking to dump it.
Yeah.
So, Joey, the one that you were showing there, that tool, people be surprised at what that thing cost.
I would imagine.
I mean, on that little tool, which was actually a walk behind, it's basically it's like a huge walk behind wheelbarrow that has a conveyor belt inside of it, inside of a V-box style drum.
Mhm.
And then it's got two spinners that spin. So when you're walking behind it, it's got like a wheelbarrow style. And then that one that we had would hold, I think, about half to 3/4 yard material. And it was powered it had a Honda engine that powered it, that you'd walk behind it. and the spinners went like this. So as it would conveyor out, it would throw it out in a pattern of depending on the material that had how heavy it was, but you could get it roughly probably a 10 to 15 foot pass or so. And you could slow it down and stuff like that. That machine was roughly about $10,000 for that.
Dang.
And it was very specific on what it did.
Yeah. Honeybee Live's got a question there. Pacific, anybody run Pacific breeds of bees or just mutts? I run, I'll say a Carniolan / maybe a little bit of some Italian in there, but mostly Carniolan because they're black.
Yeah, I run the Carniolan Latshaws.
Mine are mutts.
Ozark mutts too, aren't they?
Mhm.
Nice looking ice cream.
Oh,
They're Ozark mutts down there, aren't they? Or are they just mutts? Louisiana mutts.
I just call them mongrels mostly. I don't know what they really are.
I like
Oh,
the
you're
line
right.
Todd runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he runs bipolar bees. But
Todd, you are in California, so
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's a land of the fruits and nuts.
Yep, fruits and nuts. Yep, you're right.
Charlie, are you using nuts as a pun?
Yeah, I guess that's what you call that.
That was a good one.
I shouldn't do that to Todd. He's a good guy.
Yeah, out of all the people to pick at California.
Well, it's, not,
JW will do it. He's in here. He'll
the
do
rest
it.
it's the rest of them out there is all a bunch of fruits and nuts.
That's right. Todd's a good one.
He's outnumbered.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
Hey, JW,
Yeah, JW will give him some trouble. He won't be bashful.
watching football.
Oh, there's all kinds of diversity out there to be had, Honeybee Live.
I was just talking about that with somebody today, as a matter of fact. You know, in diversity and sometimes like, you know, what you can see out of it and stuff. Like, for instance, we were talking about Corey Stevens, and I believe in what he's doing out there with his breeding operation. And I've used a lot of it, but some of the first lines that Corey Stevens put out, I mean, and he'll even tell you that they weren't the gentlest bees. And sometimes that's what you get. The first run of a couple of bee strains that you cross in your breeding program, sometimes they can come out to be a little bit feisty, I guess. But I think over the last year or two, he's been able to calm them down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too. A friend of mine is breeder type, and he's been at her, I'll say, I guess 10 years or so like that. He said, and I was saying something about Corey's bee. He said, yeah, but are they gentle? He said, I've had them where I pinched them because I can't put up with that.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that.
Well, he describes them as medium salsa, and I think that's a very accurate description of their temperament. For the most part, we've had good success with them, and they do an okay job for the most part of that hygienic behavior, which, you know, I mean, it's been proven now to show that it lowers your mite loads. So maybe with some treating and some other IPM measures, you know, you can keep things in check.
Yeah.
But I've been
Corey Stevens one time. I said, Corey, I have a question for you. I'm like, of the different traits that you have experienced when you're breeding, what are one or two different traits that are really easy to breed in or breed out? And the two things that he gave me were, and I don't know this, I'm not a breeder, I'm just going by what he said. Color. He said color is always an easy one. And he goes, most of the time, temperament. He goes, that's usually a fairly easy one to breed out. And I said, okay. I'm like, let's go to the opposite end. I said, name a trait set that's difficult. And I already knew what his answer was going to be. And he goes, hygienic behavior. And I'm like, I figured that was going to come up. You know, so again, I'm not a breeder. I can't say, but, you know, just trying to understand what that looks like for any of these breeders who have been working for a long time. What's easy to breed in and what's hard to breed in.
Yeah.
Well,
it-
I've had a question here lately is as far as like queens and replacement queens. I've been running carnies the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm wondering whether or not if I went back to a full Italian, would that be an increase in honey production for me? I know that they brood up a lot, and then everybody talks about they eat a lot. I guess presuming that they eat more winter stores. Not really sure whether that would be a positive outcome for me or not.
I'm sorry, Trey. I was reading the comments. I didn't hear what you had said.
Well, I was saying
that's another trait right there that is hard to breed out of a bee, and that's not being frugal with winter stores.
yeah, but I was talking to some other folks from the chat boxes, and I have carnies for the last 3 or 4 years, and it would be better to have Italians again in order to make more bees, in order to make more honey.
Mm-hmm.
Now they might take, I heard somebody say they'll take a third more food through the wintertime because they're Italians.
Yeah.
But then
because they keep
I'm presuming that's because they have a big cluster going through the winter.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
then I'm like, well, then a lot of times for me, it's like, I really like seeing that big cluster in the winter. You know,
But you can take a big cluster of carniolans like that, and more of that cluster will survive on the food that they have than a cluster that size of Italians. Because the carniolan is a frugal bee.
Mm-hmm.
They will save that food until they absolutely have to have it. To
That's
get
kind
through
of like
winter.
what the Russians do too, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
I've heard the same in
that's
both,
what the
Joey.
Russians do too, because a carniolan is just a little bit more aggressive than an Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Russian is double what the carniolan is in aggression. So they make more food, but they're frugal with it. You can go to a carniolan hive that you've left 2 supers of honey on, and they got a half a super of honey left in the spring.
Well,
That Italian, you're feeding them in February.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely will. They'll start brooding. They'll brood later in the season and brood heavier. I know this because I've had predominantly mostly that. Now, the last few years, I've been working a Carniolan Italian cross into mine, and I like what I see with that. They'll start brooding quickly with some stimulation, so you can lightly stimulate them and get them to brood a little bit earlier if you need to.
Yep.
But yet they won't completely run you out of house and home and hit the feed bag so hard you can't afford them.
Yep.
So I wanted to comment something that Dodd said, and I'll just preface this with I'm not an expert, but I can tell you what some of my experience has been and what I hear some of the professionals say. He asked, would bringing in a couple of queens to my area make that much of a difference? I would say the short answer is probably not. But I would say more importantly that I would probably tell somebody that wants to do it as a small operation would be the drones specifically. If you see a colony that it really exemplifies what you want in your operation, whatever that might be. It might just be dark in color. I would put drone frames, more than one, in that colony, and any colonies that you have that you don't like what you see, I would be scratching or removing drone cells as quickly as they would build them. And that will help to aid in getting the genetics you want. Now, that being said, here's another thing that's going to muddy those waters very quickly. How many other beekeepers are within, say, 3 miles of where you're at? That's going to make a huge difference. If you have a lot of beekeepers there or a lot of feral colonies out there that have their own traits and putting off drones, that's going to muddy the waters so quickly. So I think that's a moving target for each and individual operation and what's around them. So we've actually tried to, in our area, create multiple bee yards within about a mile or less flight distance. Some of them were about 1.25 miles or so. There's 3 of them. And I would dump all sorts of colonies in there that I liked. And if there was a colony that was good, I just let it build as much drones as possible. And then we would mate queens in one yard that was kind of in the middle of them. So I would say the likelihood of my queens mating with drones from one of my yards was definitely much higher. And I'm talking, we had 25 colonies in one yard, 40 colonies in another, and there was roughly about 20 to 25 in another. So although that some big breeders would probably argue that might not be enough, I would say we might be pushing that needle just a little bit further in the direction that I wanted it to go. So I just think it's a moving target, truthfully.
It can be, but if you raise queens, or if you find queens that are the genetics that you want, okay, and your yard's in the middle, and you've got beekeepers all around you, like I do here, I've given them queens.
Oh, absolutely.
So my genetics are all around me. I don't have to worry about my genetics.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times with some small guys around me, giving them virgins and said, here, if you have a colony you don't like down there, drop her in, or say, hey, if you need any cells, or you're doing any increases, let me know. I usually have some cells that I'll just give you, That'll work in your favor. Like Bill said, I think it's a beautiful idea, and it'll cost you little to no money.
Yeah. I mean, if for me to supply queens to people around me, it didn't cost me a dime.
Yeah. Just a little time, maybe, right?
My time to make them and get them bred. That's it. That's all it cost me.
Yeah.
And now I've got a network around me that this year, this breeding yard here is going to be very, very successful.
That's good. There's a couple other comments here I thought might be worthy of a comment. So somebody said breeding for color is really silly, and that might be. But what I will say to that, and just kind of thinking outside the box. So one thing that people might say, hey, I really like light colored queens, or the leathery, Caucasians, or I like the darker queens, what have you,
or
like
brindle
colors. Exactly. So I'll give you, for example, I can pick out a light leathery color Italian queen on a frame like that. A bunch of bees. I very rarely have a problem with it. If you throw a really dark colored queen on that frame, I will stare at it and know that she's on one side of the frame. I'll stare at it for 5 minutes and I can't find it.
Yep.
And
now the brindle color queens, have you ever seen a brindle color queen?
I have, and we've had some in there.
Yeah.
In our mix.
They're easy to find as well.
I think so too. Yeah. So that's interesting. So again, color may not, and other people have different ideas about the color and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get down that road because I'm not qualified to even talk about that. But I can just speak from my experience. I don't mind a darker queen, and sometimes they're absolutely gorgeous, right? But I can't see them to save my own life. So I would prefer, although color for me is very inconsequential for the most part, I would prefer that it's one that I can see very easily, because there are times, not very often, that I do need to find the queen and remove her for whatever reason that might be. And it's very time consuming to stare at one frame for 4 or 5 minutes. Your eyes will go across, go backwards, and go all sorts of ways trying to find a little bitty insect on there. And I'll tell you, it's frustrating. So there's
and then you start swearing drones are queens or big workers are queens.
You're like, hey,
so just so you put the frame down.
Your wife says, why are you caging drones? And you're like, those are queens, leave me alone. Put them in your pocket, right?
Yep.
There was one more comment on here that I think Honeybee Live hit the nail on the head with this. And I've watched a lot of videos and listened to a bunch of breeders talk about this. And I could not agree more with this. Said most people mistake hygienic behavior as a poor laying pattern. That can absolutely be the truth.
Yep.
My own opinion is understand what uncap, recap looks like on a frame. If you can understand that, that'll help you understand, again, what the point they're driving home is, what a poor laying pattern is. Because if you have hygienic behavior, they're uncapping and haven't started to recap yet, the edge of that torn area where they uncapped it will look slightly different and that will show up and look like more of a spotty pattern.
Yes.
I think there's a fine line with that, but I absolutely agree with that statement 100%.
I think when somebody's teaching and talking about spotty brood patterns, they need to bring that up.
Definitely do.
Hygienics.
And the other thing that when you're teaching and talking about a spotty brood pattern is you need to talk about queen nutrition, because that will cause that spotty brood pattern. She's not necessarily a bad queen. She just doesn't have all the nutrition that she needs.
Yeah. You're 100% right, Bill. I've heard, so a lot of this information I'm telling you, I've heard from people that I would revere as experts in the field. And one particularly that I listened very closely to is Corey Stevens. I sincerely agree with what it is that he is doing in the field. And I'm telling you, the reason that I feel so sincere about this is people's personalities are a reflection of how they do business and how meticulous they are. Okay. Corey Stevens, his disposition is very, he hyper focuses on certain details. And I know he's a guy that will pick at a scab if it bothers him just to prove a point and make a point on that. So he is definitely a very meticulous person. And I know he is a guy who will go at something and keep trying to make it better until he feels like he's reached the pinnacle, which we all realize that's probably never going to happen, but we don't stop trying.
Did you see Brian Flower Street's comment? I like a nice root beer girl. When he said that, I could see him holding an old sign of an old root beer. The woman in the miniskirt holding the root beer up.
He's talking about those light-looking leather backs. That's what he's talking about. The really light tan-looking leather backs that stick off that frame like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think they're easy to find too.
Yeah. It's like they leave a light trail behind them, so you can follow that trail.
I can find a golden Italian a lot easier than these carnies ever. Carnies are like, they got cloaking devices. You can't find them.
Well, that's like my Latshaws. Most of the Latshaws that I raise have no black on them at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're a golden, light golden color. I call them blonde.
Yeah.
And you can just, and they're carnies, and you just pick it up and look at the frame, and there she is. She just, like Tom said, she just stands out, and it's right there.
Yeah.
And then to comment on what Tom was talking about, you don't get to hear from Dr. Latshaw's son very often that's taken over the business.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's talking, you listen.
I've never had any experience in that realm, Bill. So that's interesting, though. I like to hear what people's experiences are with certain, all different types of breeders and things like that. I like to understand what that looks like. That's kind of helped me to kind of carve my own path, because I was a strictly mostly Italian guy, but it's just like, the more colonies you get, the more you start realizing it's like, man, it's like these girls are going to eat you out of house and home. It's like a couple of teenage boys, coming into their teenage years. Those guys will plow down 4 times more food than a grown man will,
Oh, yeah.
So,
Now, I got to address DC's comment here. Now, DC, you got to remember something. The carnies invented the cloaking device before the Klingons did. Just want to let you know that. And all that. But now you were talking about shotgun pattern and all that, and they stress that in the bee clubs and stuff like that. But something that I've noticed in the last 2 years, I've been evaluating my queens, and you've heard me talk about the 1-year-old versus the 2-year-old queen. And something that I noticed in this year is that in that 2nd year queen is that, yes, she still had a solid pattern, but her pattern, instead of going from 7 to 8 frames of pattern or brood, she's down to about 6, maybe 7 frames. But then the pattern itself shrunk because I'm using mediums. I'll say 3 or 4 inches on either end. And that's where the honey and the pollen was. And she shrunk down. And instead of going corner to corner like she did in the first year she was laying and stuff. So it's not always just, the bad queen is per se the shotgun pattern. It's also noticing how the pattern is shrinking and different things of that nature. It's what I've learned so far myself.
Yeah.
When you go to that scenario right there, Charlie, when you got that queen and put her in there, let's just say you bought that queen, right?
Yeah, I bought the queen.
Right. So you bought that queen.
She was
well nourished. She was well nourished. She was healthy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back to, okay, what did you feed her the previous fall? Did you give her any vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates that she needs? How much protein was she getting?
Well,
that's going to make the difference over the winter for the next spring as to her pattern and how much she lays.
Well, she got 2-to-1 sugar water with rocket fuel in it. And then I fed them global patties with rocket fuel in them. And they would eat a patty a week in a week's time, a pound patty in a week's time. Now I didn't do anything else, as far as like super microbials. I wasn't into that. It's just like the same thing with putting the super DFM on and things of that nature. That's still in the evaluation process. It's been around, but it's new to me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think being able to recognize a quality queen, and everybody's like, well, what does that actually look like? And again, like you guys are pointing out, if there's good nutrition, and I would probably stress that good nutrition for me, if you use that terminology, I would say stuff from nature. I know we can probably mimic certain things, but particularly in my humble opinion, I don't think that we do a very good job of mimicking any type of proteins. I think we really fall short on that. And I'm just not convinced that man-made stuff does a great job. I think it probably helps and it assists and it gets you to that next pollen flow, but I don't think we do a great job. I personally, again, in my humble opinion, I think that feeding the sucrose syrup, I think we can get fairly close or close enough that, again, that has decent nutrition to get you through to the next nectar flow or what have you. And understanding if you have all these things in place and the queen is still laying a shoddy pattern, and you can definitely tell it's not a hygienic, uncap recap. Yeah, at that point in time, I would say even if that queen is from that year, absolutely don't tolerate it, because the further you get into a fall season or later in the season, your chances of actually correcting a wrong there are going to be extremely difficult and not very advantageous, to try to do that late in the season. It's going to be more for you. It's going to be more of a combine and taking your fall losses. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of good information out there that we need to understand. I'll tell you somebody who I'd like to hear more from and that I know has a lot of good experience with this is Rob. Rob's somebody who focuses very keenly on the details, as I've had good conversations with him.
Yeah, Rob.
What's it look like for you, Rob?
Yeah, Rob's been sitting back here in the corner, listening to us talk. He's sitting there like a mountain lion, ready to pounce.
I knew he was in the background, and I was actually waiting for him to come in. So when he came in,
I'm like, but don't worry about that. He's lame. He's a lame mountain lion. He's not ready.
So I will tell you this. In my personal experience, size matters.
That's what I all say.
Yeah. So
still talking about queens.
However you want, but I think there's nothing better than a just ginormous queen. You want a queen that's going to lay a big pattern and lay for a long period of time. She's got to have mass to her. I think Laxhaw and everybody else that does a lot of queen breeding, they weigh their virgins, and if they don't come to a certain gram weight, and I don't know where they draw that line in the sand, but if their virgin isn't a certain size, when she hatches, they just execute her. They don't even choose her. And when you're looking at queens and you have these just really, I think it was a South Carolina show, and there was a guy set up there and he was selling queens and he was advertising it as a dragon tail queen. and that was his brand.
Mhm.
Because what he's saying is the abdomens are so long that she's literally dragging it across the comb. And he had
Yep.
photographs of some of his queens, and they were huge. I've had some, and I know I should measure them on a metric scale, but I bet they were almost an inch and a half long from head to tip of abdomen.
Yep.
Holy cow.
They were huge, just huge. And those queens, they lay. They're an egg laying machine. And then occasionally you'll get some that not only are they long, but they're just big around. They're just plump, super plump, and they're easy to spot. They look like a night crawler running across the frame.
Definitely.
And so, I've had little dinky queens, and they'll lay, but they never lay hard. And they might be good for a month or two, but at the end of the day, they're not worth keeping. You're better off just executing them, getting them out of your apiary. It was either they had poor nutrition or some kind of something going on during their rearing process that they never turn into what they should have been as far as a queen. So,
Yeah.
But there's definitely so many different things you can go after, in the queen breeding process. But I think, one of the easiest for anyone, especially if you're a beginner, is just size. If you're looking at queens, you compare them. I have a lot of people who come and they pick out queens, and I might have 50 queens caged at any given time. And they're like, well, which one? They all look good to me. And I say, line them up side by side, go for the biggest one you can find. And it's funny, like, once in a while you'll get a bunch that are about the same size. But if you get one that looks like, you hit your thumb and it puffed up, running around in there, there's no distinction. You're never going to look at her and think that's a nurse bee in there with her. Like she dwarfs them. She's like twice their size.
Yeah.
And they naturally shrink up in a cage, but they should never shrink up in a cage to the point that they look like a worker or a virgin. They need to be just huge,
Yep.
Rob, another thing to your point when you're talking about those big girls with the bottoms that are dragging their rear ends on there, that's also advantageous in another way that people may not think about. So there's a pheromone gland that a queen needs to have multiple glands on her so that the rest of the colony, in not being able to see her or touch her, knows that she's still present. So next to her stinger is a gland called a Dufour's gland. And that actually is another one that is multiple glands make up that queen's pheromone. So if all that colony, when they're extremely thick with bees, don't understand that the queen is there, that can be a problem. So having that girl dragging that around, she's dragging scent all the way through there. Same thing with her tarsal glands. She's tracking her pheromone throughout that comb. And there's multiple ways to do that. Her queen mandibular pheromone, which is probably a big common one that people see. But, all these together make up that whole profile. And again, if she's dragging her rear end around on there, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a real good thing.
But
Oh, Robert, what about your leg, your knee? Is it?
It's getting better. I mean, like, I haven't taken any pain medicine for it for probably the last couple of days.
Yeah, but what did the MRI or whatever say?
So I find out tomorrow. I meet with a surgeon guy tomorrow, and at 8:20 in the morning, and then he's going to show me the MRI. I talked to a nurse who goes to my church, and she says, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't have 2 tears from what you're telling me. She says, I think you have an internal tear, and then I also think you have something on the side. So we'll find out tomorrow. But I'm kind of like torn between, if they say surgery, whether I want to do it or try to limp through it until I get, into the mid of the bee season. With all these trips coming up for Georgia, I just don't want to be in the healing process when I'm, running back and forth, keeping the roads hot. So I'm not sure. We'll just see, see what he says tomorrow. But yeah. But by the way, Charlie, I don't know if you knew this, but today is National Popcorn Day.
Oh,
It
really?
is. Physically.
Yeah, that's why I was eating popcorn earlier.
Yeah. So I was thinking about you.
So, Tom, Brian had a good statement a while ago.
Yeah.
Tonight's trivia question was Dufour's land. And I responded to Tom and said, Tom's been studying because he never knows what I'm going to come up with.
So I'm going to be honest with you. So somebody asked me this last year, I think it was in the early spring, said, we want you to come and give a presentation to our club. And I'm like, that's great. Depends on what it is. I'm like, if I'm not qualified to talk about it, I don't like I can offer some decent level education on it. I said, not going to do it. And there's plenty of things that I just won't talk about because I feel like I don't understand it well. But the Queen was one that I always had interest in. So I knew enough that to be to sound educated for the club. But I said, you know what? I need to do some more investigating and look into some of the details on it. And the more I started to do that, I found a site. There's a couple of them in particular. One I gravitated toward quite a bit, and I did a lot of reading on it for several days, actually, off and on. And I can't remember the site off the top of my head, which I should know because it was kind of an odd. I think it was called something Habibi or something like that. I'm sure I could find it again. Anyway, the moral of the story was I didn't realize how many glands were on a queen. You know, you only hear people talk about the QMP, right? It's all people talk about, QMP. Occasionally, you might hear somebody talk about the tarsal gland. You never hear anybody talk about the Dufour's gland. And there's one more that escapes me, and I hope Maybe Rob can help me out here.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I don't remember. So I did a bunch of research on it. And what's funny about it and interesting, and I would ask everybody to go and start researching all these glands that a queen has, and that makes up the entire profile. One individual one is not so far set apart from queen to queen, but all of them as a whole create each queen's profile, which is very interesting to me. And without each one of those has a specific need in which they do, you know, so like you create, for instance, we all joke around and say, hey, JW has this great retinue. Well, there's a gland specifically that helps to create the retinue around that. Now, it probably is a compass of all of them, but specifically, you know, there's different meanings behind each one of them. So I actually did a lot of research on it, and I was very much enlightened by it. And it had my interest. That's all. So
you've actually missed 2 glands, Tom.
Well, there's 5 if I remember correctly.
Yes, there are. There are 5, and you named 3 of them.
Okay, so let me do this again, and I know I'm not going to be able to think of them. The QMP, the tarsal or Tarsi's gland, the Dufour's.
Yep.
You're going to have to let me think about it because honestly, off the top of my head, it's not popping in there. I was hoping Rob could give me a little hand here.
So
you better give a shout out to someone else.
It's in the same area as the Dufour's gland. That's one of them. And the other one is there's no other gland really in the area where this gland is located. So the one near the Dufour's gland is the Konechnikov gland.
Yeah,
it's near the stinger, and it produces compounds that contribute to the queen signal. And its function does what over time, Tom?
I believe that has. The short answer is I don't know. I don't remember.
It degrades over time. Its function degrades over time. All right. Now
it must have to do with her egg layer.
That's the Dufour's gland. That coats the pheromone with the egg. Puts her pheromone on the eggs. Now,
so I think what you're referring to was the Konechnikov or Kosh.
Yep, the Konechnikov gland.
Yeah,
near the stinger, it produces a compound that controls or contributes to the queen signal. You're blaming me for Marianne. And its function is less defined, so we really don't know a lot about its function, other than what the beginning of that statement, and it degrades over time.
Which is probably why you don't hear many people mention that as a gland, you know, maybe because they don't understand it.
It is a gland. Now, the other one that I would guarantee you that nobody else in here knows what it is the Terabol gland. It's under the abdomen. It releases pheromones that
that's between the segments or the plates, and I forget now what those are called. The segmental plates in there. That's where that gland is located at. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember looking that one up, but I don't remember now specifically.
It complements the QMP,
Okay.
and it helps maintain social order, and it attracts the workers. It helps with the retinue.
Okay.
All right. The main retinue gland is the tarsal gland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whose TV's on really loud in the background?
Somebody's having a fight.
So here, Bill, I forgot those, but I had those on that presentation, the slides show. So I clearly need to go back to it and brush up. Okay.
So that's your trivia question tonight, Tom.
Okay. Well,
those 5 glands work in concert for the retinue, for the rest of the hive, and to keep order in the hive.
Yeah. But to understand that all those glands, according to what I've read, work in conjunction with each other to build that queen's specific pheromone profile. That's why you can't drop another queen in there that smells different and they won't attack her.
Yep.
Because that was something else I looked into, and I'm like, okay, so if they all have a similar pheromone or smell, how do they know the difference? And then the explanation that I got was all of them together in concert are what creates that queen's specific smell or
yes,
pheromone profile.
You're exactly right. And that's like everybody's iris is different. All right.
Yeah.
Fingerprints, they have figured out that repeat amongst people to some degree. So your iris is different. Everybody's irises are different. So that's what I liken that pheromone profile, for lack of a better word, from the queen with these 5 glands to your iris. That's her iris saying, okay, this is who I am. And if anybody else comes in here, you need to kill it.
Yeah. So here's a good question that I've seen. Brent Wells. He has a good question here. And he says, what's the gland that allows a virgin queen to repel bees when she first emerges? That's a really good question, and I didn't remember that. So I was trying to look it up. So I don't know that it specifically repels them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember reading about that too, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's repel. I think she hasn't developed her glands, therefore she basically has no smell, so they pay no mind to her. She's basically, I don't say, immune to smell, or she's I guess close in the smell of the colony, the hive. So but once she actually becomes mated, that's when all of her other stuff biologically kicks in, and that's when her glands start producing the smell that the bees can tell whether she was mated or not. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think they worded it as more of an attraction to the drones, not necessarily a repellent. But I think that was a phenomenal question, actually. By the way,
yeah, it was. That's a really good question. And this is what I found was a virgin queen doesn't necessarily repel other bees, but she lacks the strong attractive queen pheromones like the QMP.
Right.
That signal fertility and colony health. So she's less attractive, and workers might be less attentive, sometimes leading to aggression or neglect compared to a mated queen.
Yeah. Good information, though, and actually a great question.
Yeah.
I found this conversation here this evening to be very, very stimulating because, honestly, that it's something about queens for me. It's kind of like a mystery, and I'm surprised that they actually have this much information about queens, because you're trying to study an insect that's like this freaking big, I mean,
Yep.
it's like working on a micro mini or something, and trying to figure this out. So I don't know. Queens, they always were a little bit mystic to me as far as how things worked exactly. But it really is about these glands that are in there.
Yep. So it's queens are interesting, well, especially if you're breeding and rearing, because there's so much to learn.
No, for sure.
So
I'll tell you this, Tom. I don't know if you've ever done any II or looked at queens under a scope.
No.
They do not look the same inside either.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would like to see what that looks like, Rob, and that's one of the reasons why at Nobby I took the Microscope 1 class, and was even asking. Melissa's like, "You're going to buy a microscope, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Not yet." And I'm like,
it's already ordered, isn't it, Tom?
"No, it's actually not ordered. I didn't order anything, and I haven't done
Probably
that."
got it hid somewhere.
He's already ordered it, gotten it, hit it.
That's okay, Tom. I have to do
really
that
good,
too.
Melissa.
Hey, I promise you I don't do that. Melissa and I discuss all the purchases, even though sometimes it's more like me. It's like, hey, just letting you know, I am going to buy this. Okay. I'm just looking to see the appropriate one that I need or want or desire for whatever. Right. But Rob, what you're saying there. So when I took this class, I'm like, it was funny because it was Robin Underwood who actually gave the class.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Penn State, very weird. I think you've talked a little bit about Robin, as a matter of fact. And they said, well, we'll have different things that you can view, but if you'd like to bring in samples, and I'm like, absolutely I do. And I'm like, I want to look at my own stuff. So I'm out there getting stung up on the wrist, sampling bees, basically in like these little bitty blue piss cups, and I got a good sampling of bees and squirted alcohol in there, shook them up a little bit, killed them. And then immediately threw them in the freezer that morning that we were leaving to go to Nobby. And then as soon as we left, we threw them in a cooler on ice and brought them in. As soon as we got to the hotel, went into the freezer because I wanted the sample to be as viable as I possibly could or as fresh. And I was able to, the only one I was able to do on the bees that I brought, and this is the first thing I had on my list, is I'm like, I want to see Nosema spores. That's what I want to see. And they showed us what it looked like under severe, Nosema in a bee or in bees. And then I pulled up mine. And so I did see Nosema. I found one spore, and that was on a sample of 10, which is pretty small, obviously. But now I know what I'm looking for. So now I can build on that education and start to dive down other rabbit holes. But the answer is no, I haven't bought a microscope, but I have a couple that I'm looking at.
So here's another good question from Uncle Junior. How do they make the new queen pheromone spray if all queens smell different? It's artificial. It's not a true queen pheromone.
Yeah. Now the thing of it is, though, something that I've learned, I always thought the pheromone was like perfume, and it's not.
No,
they pass it between their antennae and their mouth parts throughout the hive. From what
they don't have a nose per se like we do.
No,
their antenna smells. That's their nose.
And I forget what else was it about the antenna that had some type of sensor on it.
Speed.
Yeah.
When they're flying, it's a speedometer. It tells them how fast they're flying, so they can measure distance based off of the airflow over their oscilla on the antenna.
That's interesting, Rob. I actually did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm trying to get this thing out of here, Tom, but I don't think I can get it out of here. But this is something I bought. I haven't used it yet, but it's called a metrometer, and it's used for measuring Nosema.
Mm-hmm.
And here it comes. It's popping open now. But it is basically like a slide plate, but it has a grading section inside of it. And there you go. So let me get this up there. Can you see the little
Yeah, it's
squares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that basically a glass slide, but they
It
have it sectioned off?
It is, and
Okay.
you put your no SEMA sample in there, and then it
Yeah.
has a cover plate, and then you look over, you look in that, and actually, let me if I can get this and hold still.
Yeah, it's either registered, it's either positive or negative.
Yeah, so see the cross? Can you see that cross?
Yep.
Okay, so that cross actually is gridding, and I don't know how many it is, but there's probably like 100 squares in each cube of that cross.
Really?
And so
Yeah.
when you look at that under a microscope, you actually can count your nosema spores, and then you can break it down by how many spores per thousand or whatever.
Okay.
That's what that's used for.
That's
And,
interesting.
But here, yeah, we can see it that way.
Yeah. So now you're just looking at that under a microscope, right?
That's correct. And
And-
it's got a cover plate. So once you put that on, it has a little slide plate that
Yep.
you set on top of the specimen itself. And
Okay.
then you look at that. But
So
That
Rob,
was-
correct
that
me
was
if
not
I'm
cheap.
wrong. I think we have to look at that times 400, or is it
yeah,
like 4?
something like that. But yeah, I'll dig out the thing. I went when I was at EAS, not this past year, the year before. There was a guy who was a master beekeeper here in Pennsylvania. He did a microscope class, talked about how to make your own scope or your own slides, what to use, and then he gave us a list of things to buy, including a microscope, like his recommendations, the camera that goes on the tube of the scope,
Mm-hmm.
all your slides, your saline, your tweezers, your dissection kit. He had
Mhm.
everything on that list, and I bought everything on that list.
Okay.
And all your squeeze bottles, forceps, eyedroppers, snap caps, and because I want to be able to do a lot more than just the eye work. I want to do more where I can actually record what I'm doing or put it
Mhm.
up on a computer screen so others can watch it, so they're seeing what I'm seeing at the exact same time I'm seeing it.
Sure.
So
And
So
that's
that's
why
one
you
best-
got the one with the camera or the camera option.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one I got at Penn State does not have the camera option.
Mhm.
It's just a straight biology, microscope, and that's what I do my eye work with. But
Yeah. So the one I was looking at actually, and when we get off here, or whatever, if you're still on, I'll ask you a few more details about what you're looking at. I'll show you the one I was looking at and all that jazz. But the one I was looking at it had the tube for the camera, but it did not have the camera. So I could add to it later.
correct. That is
So-
correct.
And that's kind of what I was looking for. And I asked him, I said, I would be looking for something that is for a novice, but I don't want to spend good money after bad. I'm not going to spend $1,000 on it, but I want it good enough that I can do a little bit of stuff with it, and I can build on it if I want to. I can add to it, or I can get some of the basics that I'm looking for. So I don't want to spend so little money that I can't get, and you're like, oh, well, that's junk, and you quickly outgrow that, and you have to spend another whatever that is, $300 or $400 on it. So again, I haven't bought one, and I'll probably wait a little bit, but I'd like to understand that a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I can understand a little bit better. More curiosity thing than anything, but Etienne, who the gentleman from Canada, the researcher from Canada, he was kind of telling us a little bit about it, and he showed me a sample of his, and obviously his climate is very far different than mine. Like when his bees lock down, they're locked down for months with no flight. Mine, typically every 2, maybe 3 weeks, they get some flight time in. So it's probably less likely that they're going to have gut issues,
Right.
unlike what he would experience. Not impossible, but again, probably less likely. So I don't know. I just found it all interesting, and that grabbed my attention. Melissa at the end, she's like, I don't like it. I don't care. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, what? I'm like, why are you dismissing this? And I'm like, well, I have an interest in it. And at some point I'm going to start to follow through with this. And she's like, I figured you already were.
Yeah.
So Amazon has a trinocular microscope, 40 power through 5,000 power magnification. it is laboratory grade with a dual mechanical stage, and it is HD USB camera
Okay.
microscope option for $279.
Now, was that the USB? Was it? They
For
have
a
a
camera.
different. Yeah, no, there's a couple different levels.
Yep.
I think there was a difference between. Oh shoot! Let me look at what I had here.
And it has an LED light source, but you can hook it into a laptop or a desktop computer
Yeah.
and project it.
If I can find it.
And it is a scientific microscope. Or if you want, you can go even further and buy the one that has the screen on it already for $689.
Yeah, that would be out of my price point.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But I mean, it would be a good scope to begin with for a beginner. And that way, if you wanted to put it on a screen, you could.
So the one that I had eyeballed up had the USB 2.0. So the way I understood it in layman's terms is that has a little bit better speed, I guess, when you're hooking it up to a laptop. So if you were trying to do a show and tell or whatever, it translates quicker. And this was also a trinocular compound microscope, 4 times up to 1,000 times. And I actually asked, there was a gal that was a veterinarian out of Colorado, and I wish I would have gotten her name, that she was in the class. Super helpful for me. And I was asking her some questions about things, and she goes, well, I'm just going to preface this. She goes, I'm a veterinarian. And she goes, I'm very much in the lab. And she goes, I look through a microscope every day. She said, but I'm not a beekeeper. So I think that's where like Etienne came into play, as well as Robin Underwood, the more that specific studies. And
Yep.
She's like, I could probably help you out with the microscope. And I'd showed her, because I had already talked to Brian with Castle Hives, and he was kind of cluing me in a little bit. And I showed her the one I had just kind of eyeballed up a little bit. And she's like, oh, yeah, that'd be a really good one. And she gave me a couple of different things to look at. And she goes, you could change a couple of these different parameters on the microscope to get something that might be a little bit more buildable. Like, for instance, she said, not really a big deal. She goes, but sometimes you really need a good ability to turn the light sensitivity down and get more of that definition. And the one I was looking at was like a halogen. She goes, the only difference with an LED, she goes, you might get better flexibility. She goes, but for what you're doing, it probably is the non-issue and probably wouldn't matter. There was a few other things that she pointed out that I took notes down on too, but Amscope was the one I happened to be looking at. It's an Amscope T390.
Tom, what's your email, Bruno?
Email?
Yeah, I'm going to forward some.
Sure. It's VIA, honeybees, plural, at gmail.com.
This is a WOEHRSH. Wohersh.
Here, spell that again, Bill.
WOEHRSH.
I'll just look it up.
You got it, Tom. You'll find that very helpful.
James, there's changes coming every day that we are adding equipment and things like that. Right now, we're working on changes in the creamer. So that's a good possibility that we'll end up with a hard carrying case for that OAV unit. So it's 10:15, guys. it's been a great discussion tonight. And I thank you all for coming in and spending time listening to us ramble on here about queens and microscopes and everything else. Yeah, Uncle Junior should have paid attention in biology class. So
We all should have.
So we will. Nancy's on Tuesday night still, right? Charlie?
I think Tom comes on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's either Tom or Nancy on Tuesday nights, and then Thursday night should be Todd's Thursday night to be on late night beekeeping, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and then Friday night is Charlie, and Saturday night is Joey. So we will see you later on during the week. And you guys have a great week. Stay warm. Take care of the bees. And we'll see you later.
See you.
Good night.
See y'all later.